Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today it's the Man Child. Okay, so today I thought I'd do a little unpackaging of my Mattel Creations 40th anniversary CGI inspired He-Man from the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon on Netflix. So, like I said, this was obviously part of that Mattel Creations 4-pack. It's a pretty cool pack, really expensive. I waited last minute to get it too, and I didn't even think that they still had it, but they did. I know a lot of people were really mixed on it because of the price. I was one of them, but at some point when I got the money, I picked it up because I love this stuff, and yeah, you know how that goes. I gotta say, of all the He-Man characters in that 4-pack, the CGI one was probably my favorite one. It's just really unique. The head sculpt's cool, it's different, has that anime style look, but fits in perfect with the Origins, with the redesign, and of course has all the Origins aesthetics. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. So now I did kind of show these. I did a video where I showed all four. It was more or less just look at the art. I was able to take some of the figures out, and I did show some of the close up of the heads and the maybe the weapons and whatnot. But I didn't realize that these packages are very collector friendly, and that's another thing cool. So obviously, this is the front of our card, right? You can see that it's got all the art that's reminiscent of that CGI cartoon. If you spin it around, it has its own unique art too. It looks like art that this He-Man could have been in its own comic book, but not at CGI style. That's pretty neat. Got the big castle in the background now. What's cool with these, and I didn't realize that in my little review I did till like later on. Check this out. Very collector friendly. Pull it. Well, sorry, I got some tape here, but you can pull this whole piece off like so. Pop the figure out, right? Review them, go over them, and then put them right back in. That's pretty neat. So I have my He-Man out of the package, but again, I wanted to show you if you're not familiar. See, this little piece comes out of this outer kind of shell bubble, goes back, and it has these little support pieces that fall out. I don't use them, but then you could just put this card. Once I had to break the tape up top. You're not familiar, it just kind of slides down like this. So you can put your figure back or just save this as one piece and check that out. No damage to it. I wish all the Origins were made this way instead of the old tape and glue where you separate the figure, you damage it, now it's garbage, you know, if you're not careful. But I think that's awesome. And here's a quick look around with this new He-Man out of package. So checking out that head sculpt, yeah, really cool the way it's done. I mean, it's kind of has that anime look, you know, but at the same time, it looks like something that could fit right in Origins in that type of style, you know, going back to the vintage figures. Side the eyes are painted, and I noticed they're doing out all the newer Origins figures, which are pretty cool. And I even have a He-Man here. Just for example, this was the from the Battlefield Warrior 2-pack. I actually painted white my eyes where it was just black, little pupils in there. And again, it's going back old school like the vintage, but they look so soulless, you know, especially He-Man, Man at Arms like that. So yeah, they already had the black, and I just did some white the best I can. I had to do a couple. I had to mess around a little bit, but don't look too bad. I like that better. It makes the character, it brings them to life a little better. So it's cooler doing that with the newer figures. But anyway, not only that, they have the extra just detail in the blue in the eyes. It's yeah, really unique how they did that. Hair is pretty cool how it's sculpted. It's yeah, soft. You can move it around, right? Bend it like so. The articulation's all the same, like the Origins, left, right, down and up. You can see yeah, the hair in the back, the way it's all sculpted. Again, it's all soft. But bring him in closer look. You want to take a look at the eyes, though, the way they did that, and the facial features. Now, he doesn't have any teeth grinning. That would have been cool. Or to have two heads. I know I'm asking for a lot. I always like that when you have two different heads, just for the neutral grin or friendly grin, and then the battle-ready face. He doesn't have that, so kind of sometimes has that silly cartoon feel. Going back to the CGI, you know, unless that's something you like. But yeah, I like the battle-ready ones. But it's cool for what they give you. So moving down to the chest and armor, to the buck. Now the sword I plugged in. We'll take a closer look down a little bit. See, it pops right out, obviously. I think that it's, let me see. So does this armor come off? I think it, oh yeah, look at that. Okay. So you can actually remove the main armor, and I'm assuming you pop the head off. Yep, okay. Got a black ball peg there, and this flips right off like so. And then you got to break the waist apart. Okay, so there's our waist apart. And then this piece comes off too. Okay. So that's our buck. It's just it's all black. It's painted black. This doesn't come off. And then they actually, you can see how they painted it around the upper neck to give it the flesh color. So here's a look at our CGI He-Man with, yeah, the belt and the upper armor off. for anybody, for any of you guys who want to do customs. Yeah, kind of unique, I guess, a little different. So as far as the arms, it's all the same aesthetics and articulation like all the Origins figures, but we'll do it anyway. Check it out. It goes up, down, forward, back. You can bend the arm all the way straight like that. And of course, it bends up about that far. He comes with two different hands. Now he has a semi-closed hand on the right side and then an open hand for like a shield on the left. They spin too, obviously, and can pop out and run a hinge joint, right? And they pop out like so. Now, if you had another He-Man figure, the skin tone looks close enough to if you want to change this open hand out with something like a gripping hand that came with other He-Man figures, you probably could. I could see that working. As far as the bracers now, they're pretty cool. Painted black with gray highlights. Has that Castle Grayskull design in it. That's reminiscent of the Castle Grayskull from the CGI cartoon. Right, it looks like the skull face, teeth, eyes, and whatnot. That's what I get out of it anyway. But these bracers do not come off. They're all part of the sculpt. I thought they were at first, just glued on, but they're not. And yeah, so they're all part of the arm sculpt, painted. You know, that's unfortunate. It would have been cool if they did, just for a little more customs, or if you didn't want to use them, just have the bare arms. And I like the war paint too. That's pretty neat on these arms too. It's patterns both the same on the left and right side. It looks like done in a bright yellow. I thought maybe it glowed in the dark, but it doesn't. So with our buck, it's all a typical He-Man buck, style buck, right? We looked at that already. We know we could twist at the waist. Has a pair of like the black, yeah, it could be a wrestler underpants or something if you don't want to use the belt. So it ain't a typical loincloth. The legs go all the way out, right? Just like all your Origins, go forward, go back, bend all the way up at the knee. I like these boots too; they're pretty cool. Now they can spin, and you can take the boots off this figure, but let's be sure, because if you want to change it out with different style boot, do that. And putting the boot back on, the other both sides are exactly the same, and then of course our foot, right, and go up and down, can rock a little bit. So it's pretty much all your articulation on him. So the only accessory comes with is that unique power sword you see in the show, which is really cool. I like the way that's, they did that for this Origins line. Really big. Yeah, this is in a vac metal, or the chrome part, right? And then the gold too is it's just regular painted gold color, but it's pretty cool. They did that really solid. Love all the designs on it, and just the way the handle is done and all that. So I put the armor back on for now, and here's a quick look what he looks like with that big sword in hand. Pretty cool. He's balancing okay. I had to mess a little bit because it throws him off, but he looks pretty neat. He's got his little smile going. Guess he's a wise guy ready for battle, but pretty cool. And the armor, I like how the armor, I'll show you where it comes off, but just how it goes on, this piece snaps and how easy it locks. You're not fiddling with a bunch of straps or some of the Origins that get stuck. You got to heat them up, or they're real loose. I like this design for this. So to play around mixing some parts or a little customizing, I threw our CGI He-Man head on the first release Origins, typical He-Man body with the cross armor we all know. Yeah, it looks good. Even the skin, this body's a little more tan, but in the light, it doesn't work bad at all. It looks pretty cool. All right, so check that out. And here's our CGI He-Man head on one of the Battle Armor He-Man bodies. Again, this was from the Wars 2-pack as a vac metal. There's also a light gray version. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Skin match is not bad at all. And I also threw that CGI-inspired head on the Flying Fists He-Man Origins body. Check that out. Looks pretty cool. Skin matches too. And here's the CGI He-Man's head on the Wondar body. So check that out. Yeah, it works. Again, the skin's not bad. Just the way they blended it in, it seems to go... Wondar's body seems a little on the darker side to me, maybe. Might just be my light, but it works good. Articulation's all the same, so it's another option for you customizers. So I also took the regular Origins He-Man body, took the cross armor off, and I put the CGI He-Man head back on. I put his armor across the buck, and even used a belt, right? It goes over the regular loincloth belt that He-Man or the other figures, so check that out. It looks pretty cool. Works really well, right? Articulates all the same. Totally different. And I just threw the Wondar head down on this body with the CGI He-Man's armored setup. On first He-Man Origins body, so check that out. Looks pretty cool. And I also threw the Origins 2000X inspired He-Man's head from the, not from the 4-pack, I think Wave 9. Check that head out on this He-Man body with the armored. And of course, we have our typical vintage inspired He-Man head I threw on the He-Man body with the CGI armored. And for fun, I also threw the Master of the Universe New Attorney Viking He-Man head on this Origins body with the CGI armored setup. Because this head, a lot of people like this head. It goes good with everything. So you can check that out. Articulation works great, and even the helmet colors, they're a little off, but they work well with the armor if you want them to. It's not that bad. And here's a quick look with that one of the first release He-Man head from the Origins before they gave us the vintage inspired one. This one's an open mouth variant. I think that might have come with the Jet Sled. I don't remember where this came from, but more or less the face design was a little different, but it looks like on this body and armored. You want to check that out? So bringing in the Motu Origins 2000X body, obviously I took the head off, but I put the CGI He-Man head on there. Again, works great, color. Now you can see I did some touch-ups here, like I put the red in the sword. This was from the Flying Fit or Spinning Blade He-Man that was in part of that 2000X actually original toy line. I took it off that He-Man. And I actually took the belt off from the 2000X He-Man. The waist broke. And you actually cut, modify, and bring the belt up, pop the waist apart over the typical loincloth for the Origins. It works. It looks cool. Very reminiscent of the show with the actual figure. So you can check that out. And here's a quick look with that He-Man setup with the CGI head on a 2000X style Battle Cat, if you had one. So it works pretty cool. Check that out. And here's a quick look with the regular He-Man 2000X head on that He-Man body. I've showed this in one of my videos before on that Battle Cat, but anybody's curious, show what that looks like. So moving back on to the CGI He-Man body, do a little customizing, playing around. So of course I have the head back on, put the sword in hand. I have the regular He-Man cross armor on that body, and it could work. You want to check out what that looks like. And this is just a vintage He-Man head on that body with the cross armor, of course. See what that looks like. So focusing back on the CGI body, I put all the armor, everything on, and leave the sword in hand. We'll just right now focus on the heads. So we already tried the cross armor from He-Man, and there's so many possibilities with heads and parts you can mix. I'm just trying to do what I can. But that looks pretty cool. So we have a vintage inspired head on this body with all the armor on, right? So we check that out. And here's the $1 head on this body, or you just want a brown hair He-Man on a body. Check that out. Skin works really well. Looks good. And here's our new Eternity Viking He-Man head on that body. Check that out. Looks pretty cool. Works well. I also pulled out the new Eternia Battle Armored He-Man head, which I think is pretty cool. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but I figured I'd try something different. We're with the Revelation New Eternia figures with the mixed on the Origins pegs, which they work fine. So you can check that out. And skin tone's not bad, matches pretty good. And here's my infamous Revelation custom vintage inspired He-Man head. Barbosa Customs made this. Get them on eBay. I've sent a link to people before. You have to contact them. He'll custom make them. I think it's one of the coolest heads to go on the first release Revelation body, because I couldn't stand that head. It just didn't look right. It wasn't accurate to the cartoon. It was more like the promotional art or something. I didn't like it, but this head was always, I think, one of the coolest ones to go on a Revelation body. So you check that out. It looks really good on this body too. Articulates well. The skin works really well for the arms. Here was that first release Origins head on this body with the armor and everything. Right, check that out. Just for people who like that head. And for one last head change out, I do have the original Revelation head here. For people who might have liked it. So again, this is what this head replaced. Now this was more the Revelation style cartoon head, or what it was supposed to represent, which was way off, I thought. And this is more the vintage inspired head, which you always liked. Of course, Origins come out one later, but I gotta say, this head don't look bad if you like it on this body. I never liked the grin on. I thought the hair could have been better. It wasn't a bad sculpt. And it does match the skin okay, but for people like that head, there it is on that body. And real quick, while we're on the subject of He-Man or He-Man figures, this is the Revelation He-Man. Here's that head I've already showed and talked about, the custom head for this body. Now, this is a Viking He-Man body. I actually changed the loincloth off, the armor and everything, the boots, the bracers, and I got rid of that first release body that first head came in because I thought it was very yellow. I didn't like it. So I got a second Viking He-Man. It was real tan, and it looked better to me. And as I said, I switched everything over and got this custom head. But let's check out the CGI head on the new Eternity Revelation body and see what that looks like. All right, here you go. So this body's very tan. That's how He-Man should be, and the skin is off a little bit from this body. Now, it can work. It's very sloppy, too, which is surprising to me because most of the Origins heads work good on these pegs, but they all vary sometimes. Well, you want to see what that looks like? And before we finish the video up, what would He-Man be without a Battle Cat or a couple Battle Cats? So this is our CGI Origins He-Man, right? On the CGI Battle Cat that came out for those the other line for more the kid show, the kid toys you'll see in Target or Walmart. I had a couple of them. I didn't like them because the sculpts were cool, but I didn't like the articulation. They're designed just to really be played with by kids, where Origins are for kids, but can be also more for the collectors. But it looks really cool on it. I did have to do some custom work and modify this Battle Cat for the Origins to work on. So I show you real quick what he looks like. Sits really well. So pretty much, this is a pretty good sized Battle Cat. Has okay articulation, not great. You know, it has like a action feature there. It can spin at the claws. The mouth does articulate. The armor doesn't come off. The saddle does. It's plugged in. I had to take it off to do some of the custom work. The back legs move. You know, the tail. It's good enough, close to what the Origins has. I did do some painting. All this black in here wasn't there. I painted all that all around here. Painted all that all black. I added some skulls from like a spawn because I had to make up the holes on the side. I'll explain why in a second. But I glued them in and painted them black. It's a little rubber piece, kind of sticky piece that helps the figure sit on the saddle better. Yeah, I painted these black in the back, but I didn't say that. Added these little foot straps there out of cloth and just painted them red with a marker. Sometimes you get the feet in them, sometimes you can't. You don't need them, but it looks cool. The biggest thing is with the saddle. Now, it didn't have these two pieces here. I actually cut off a Origins Battle Cat saddle. Had to shape them. You can see that shape back there. Glued them and then used like 2-part epoxy to fill it in. Then, of course, I had a gap here. That's why I put the skulls on. They look cool. And I did the same with this front piece. Just have like a buffer piece here. So if you have a Origins Battle Cat saddle and you're looking at it, you kind of see this is obviously the back to front. Yeah, it took some work to shape and put them in there, but now because without these pieces, the figure would just slide back and fall off. It wouldn't work. So now you have this, you know. So now your figure can sit there and it looks like almost like an Origins Battle Cat. So curious how I did that and set them up, the work I did to get this ready for my Origins figures, or to make them fit better anyway. And of course, here's our CGI He-Man on our first release, Origins Battle Cat. Or this was from the Warriors 2-pack because of the scratches. He's darker color. I like that one better. Looks more reminiscent to the vintage because of the darker colors on the saddle. Like I said, the fur. Of course, it didn't have battle damage, but I think that's neat. So see what those guys look like together. And you can see on this, if you're curious, so obviously this is the saddle piece I cut off my Spear Battle Cat. So I kind of had to round this. I cut this back part off of this. And this front piece here was just the front piece of this saddle, where you had to, you know, once you cut it off, lobbed it off, and then you had the shape to go in here, add silicone. Yeah, it was kind of a trial and error, you know. Oh, and I also added this little piece of buckle. I'm sorry, I think that came off the main strap. So you can see that in here. And then I put these little pieces on just for a little more effects. So that's where all that came from. And for fun, here's a size comparison with our CGI He-Man and that Battle Cat I showed you. It came from that CGI toy line, and our Flock Origins Panther and Battle Armored Skeletor for size, and just see how they go head to head as a different style He-Man as part of the Origins line. I think it looks pretty cool, even though this Battle Cat's a little smaller. It's still fun. You know, got a little competition going here with the size of Panther. Check those two out. Alright, so that's pretty much my review on that 40th anniversary Mattel Creations 4-pack, and of course, we're doing the CGI He-Man today. I think it's a great figure. I like the head sculpt. It's cool, all the different things you can do with the armor and the body like I showed. I try to do whatever I can think of. If you guys have any suggestions, put them in the comments. I tried different He-Man's heads, mixing part, whatever I could think at the time. It's pretty cool that you can use this Battle Cat from that CGI series, but I did have to modify mine, obviously, as I showed. Works a lot better. It's very tricky. You don't have to. You can kind of make an Origin character work on it, but much better this way. And if not, he fits on the Origins Battle Cat just fine. He looks great on him, too. Now, I'm hoping they're going to make a single card release with this figure. I have a strong feeling they will. And if not, maybe a 2-pack with a CGI-inspired Skeletor, but in the Origin style. I think that would make a lot of sense. So if you guys didn't get this in the 4-pack, I have a feeling one's coming. You're definitely going to get one. And there's some floating around eBay too, but that's pretty pricey. But if you really want one that bad, you want to pay the money, they are there. So, it's always another option, fortunately. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you guys are doing great. And until next time, take care.